Hi everyone, and welcome to another one of our virtual Yellowstone tours. You may recognize where I am today. I'm at Norris Geyser Basin. This is Porcelain Basin, and I'm taking the little spur which heads up towards Porcelain Springs. On a cold, snowy day like this, you can see that the steam is so visible. And one just hopes that there won't be too much steam for us to see the thermal features themselves. This little spur, this little boardwalk to Porcelain Springs really is one of my favorite parts of Yellowstone. It really does look like you're on another planet, even at times, with all that steam just billowing off. And if you listen carefully, you can hear steam vents, which are also known as fumaroles. I'm going to drop in a map here so you can see where we are. You'll notice that the roads through Yellowstone make up a massive figure of 8. And there's a road that runs from Norris Geyser Basin, where I am, to the east to Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone and Canyon Village, which splits up the two roads, which splits up the massive figure of 8 into two gigantic circles, two huge loops. And Norris Geyser Basin is on the left, on the west side, just where the roads split up. Look at all these little thermal features. Those are really cool. I was saying that Norris is the most thermally active part of Yellowstone, and if you refer back to that map that I mentioned, again, you will have noticed that there's a soft purple line that more or less follows the lower loop of the park, and that shows us where the caldera is or was. The caldera is the gigantic hole in the ground that was left the last time the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted, probably about 625,000 years ago. And you'll notice that Norris is just outside the caldera, but it's still the most thermally active part of the park. In addition, what scientists have found really interesting here at Norris is that there's all sorts of changes that take place rapidly. It's not as if changes don't take place elsewhere in the park, and I'll come back to that. Just listen to these sounds. The blue color of that pool is stunning, that somewhat milky blue. I'd mentioned before that this is a really dynamic part of Yellowstone, and right here we are at Porcelain Springs. It's the fastest changing area in the entire basin, and the center that we see is one of the reasons for it. I'd also mention that there were all sorts of changes that take place here at Norris that occur a lot more frequently a lot more rapidly than elsewhere in Yellowstone. For example, a geyser that hasn't been working suddenly comes back to life, or a hot spring goes dormant, or a geyser starts erupting a lot more frequently, or just doesn't erupt. And this type of activity, or the lack of activity, is what makes Norris so interesting, and scientists are still trying to figure out why it happens so much here compared to elsewhere in Yellowstone. It's a little difficult to pick out, but can you see the water spluttering around in that pool there? I know there's so much steam. There's also a geyser here that's always going off, but I can't pick it up. There's that milky blue pool again. That looks like my little geyser over there. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to pick it up in the steam now. Every time I try and zoom in on it, oh, there it goes. Oh, that looks like a geyser that may be in the steam phase, which I appreciate is a little ironic because all we can see here is steam. The snow is really caked on. And I'm walking back towards the main trail that runs through Porcelain Basin itself. That heads up to the camping area at Norris. And that was Porcelain Springs in the winter. Thank you so much for joining me on another one of our virtual Yellowstone tours. If you enjoy this virtual Yellowstone tour series, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel. Remember that you can see all of our virtual Yellowstone tours at virtualyellowstonetours.com. That's virtualyellowstonetours.com. I hope you make it to Yellowstone one day.